Imagine you haven't eaten in 2 days, you found the herd, you map the route, all you have to do is get there, then it starts raining. Not a drizzle, a heavy, freezing, wind-driven rain that doesn't stop. It goes all day, then all night, then the next morning, still going. You can't hunt. Tracks are gone. One wrong step on wet rock and a twisted ankle out here means death. Your fire, the one thing keeping you warm and keeping predators away, is starting to struggle. You're not bored. You're trapped. For most of human history, rain wasn't a cozy Netflix day. It was a crisis, and what humans did to survive it might be the most important thing they ever did. A wet human loses body heat 25 times faster than a dry one. Without shelter, a long storm could push you into hypothermia within hours, even in Africa. Then flooding. Archaeologists have found flood sediment layers inside ancient caves, meaning the water rose while people were still living there. Some of those caves were never used again. And then predators, rain, drove animals into shelter too. Sometimes the same cave you were in. In South Africa, archaeologists have found human skulls in the same layers as big cat remains, with puncture marks that match leopard teeth exactly. Rain didn't just make life miserable, it trapped humans, predators, and prey in the same small dry space at the same time. And in the middle of all that, one job mattered more than anything else. Before about 40,000 years ago, most humans probably couldn't reliably start a fire from nothing. If it went out, you might not get it back. That's why groups carried embers wrapped in leaves or packed inside a mushroom called tinder fungus, a literal biological lighter. We know this for a fact because when Otzi the Iceman, frozen for 5,300 years in the Alps, was discovered, he was carrying a full fire kit on his belt. Tinder fungus, flint, iron pyrite, backup kindling. Losing your fire was serious enough that people carried emergency equipment for it. So, when it rained, saving the fire came before everything. And once that fire was safe, the real work began. Caves are packed with evidence of people making things during exactly this kind of downtime. At Blombos Cave in South Africa, a 100,000-year-old pigment workshop, shells used as mixing bowls, ochre ground into powder. Bone needles, delicate enough to need a hand-drilled eye, start showing up around 61,000 years ago. At Hohle Fels Cave in Germany, archaeologists found a 35,000-year-old ivory tool with spiral grooves, built specifically for twisting plant fiber into rope. Someone sat in a cave in the rain and invented a rope-making machine. At Sibudu Cave, 77,000-year-old bedding, sedges and rushes layered with insect-repelling leaves, and periodically burned and replaced. That's pest control, 77,000 years ago. So none of this happens on a clear day when you're out hunting. This is what boredom built. Here's the part nobody expects. Hohle Cave in France holds paintings 36,000 years old. Lions, horses, rhinos, muscles tense, mid-stride, drawn from memory. These paintings aren't near the entrance where you'd shelter. They're hundreds of meters in, through passages you'd have to crawl through. Someone carried a fat lamp into total darkness, alone and painted. Nobody does that when the hunting's good. You do it when there's nothing left to sharpen and nowhere left to go. And around the fire, something even bigger was happening. A 2014 study on the Jew Huansi Bushman found that daytime conversation was almost all practical, resources, complaints. But at night, around the fire, over 80% of it turned into stories, songs, and myths. That fire wasn't just heat, it was the first social network on Earth. So, next time it rains and you reach for a blanket and Netflix, remember what rain used to force people to build. They kept the fire alive, they invented rope, they painted animals from memory, alone in the dark. They told the stories that would survive 7,000 years passed mouth to mouth, every tool, every painting, every myth we still tell. All of it came from people who had absolutely nothing to do, except sit by a fire and create. They didn't get bored, they got civilization.